And he'll go for a solid 10 minutes. No, feels like he's not even taking a breath.
Wow.
And then I sit there and I pause and I'm like, how am I meant to go after that? So I know he's got the gift.
Yeah.
Just guide him. But my older one, he's doing his own thing.
In the wheelbarrow. Yeah. He's out there.
Likes the body.
Yeah.
when he was young, did he have that vibe as well? Of like
Yeah, he was a seer, but he got freaked out and it closed up real quick. Yeah, so he didn't kind of pick it up after that, which is okay. Sometimes when they have the bug that young and they go and do life and then it comes back.
When they're ready, bro?
Yeah, when they're ready.
They'll pick
you don't
it up.
force it,
Yeah.
because that's when you rebel against it and you shut everything down. You're like, nah, and you have traumatic experiences.
Oh, bro. And then you start drinking, you start doing the drugs, you start going.
Bro, a lot of my mates that have, wisdom and knowledge for days.
Yeah.
Bro, hit the pipe.
Yep.
Seen them caught up with them, bro, how are you? Gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just forcing it too young, too early.
Yeah.
It's like anything, Sometimes, you have hard parents that just drill. Squeezes your soul in.
Yeah. Next minute.
Did you go through any of that, you personally, or someone close to you?
No, I kind of just found my own way, and then was led to the right people.
Nice.
Yeah, it's you sort of kind of just navigate your own space and make sure that you've got all the right protocols in place. I think if like learning the road code.
Yep.
Yeah, you go 100 miles driving on the wrong side of the road. It's not a matter of if.
It's a matter of.
When.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah. Oh, you're gonna get smacked up, bro. Hey. Same thing applies in the Wairua mahi too, eh?
Right. Are your parents alive?
Yep. Yeah, I'm lucky. I was a mokoless grandchild, so I had no grandparents. And that's where I suffered, I think. Because my parents were, hard workers, come through sort of that urban drift type of trade kaupapa. So, yeah, they were in the trenches doing the mahi. So I had no grandparents, But I was lucky that that mum gave me over to the old people.
Nice. Yep.
Yeah. That's where the journey started.
So my uncle said, I remember him telling us, he used to try and teach us te reo over the holidays, school holidays, as we were growing up. And one thing I remember him saying was, in Te Māori, there were 3 marriages. The first marriage is you were given to an elder. You were given to either your grandparents or somebody who held knowledge so that you could be taught that knowledge. Then your second marriage was when you married your spouse. Joys, this is us. And then the third marriage was you were given someone young to pass on your knowledge. And it's sort of like, I sort of like sat there and went, man, that's why my sister went to Ganima. That's why my other sister went to my auntie, because they were given so that they could be taught. And the only one that came back into our Māori, bro, is my younger sister. She learned everything that she needed to learn with my aunties, It was like, and it kind of made sense. Yeah, anyway.
That's the journey.
That's the magic of the word koha.
Yeah.
The gift. Yeah. But, you can look at it superficially and say koha would be an exchange of a gift coming into somebody's area, and that would be deemed appropriate. But if you break it down, that kupu koha, ko and ha, by ko is to plant something, and ha is the breath.
Yeah,
nothing grows without the ha of that, and you need two energies. It's an act of duality. So you have somebody that is arriving to a space and giving the koha, and then those that are receiving that koha, they both breathe life into that so that it grows for the multiple.
Much more collaborative and the cooperation that we were talking about. It's just nature, right? At the end of the day, it's nature.
That's it. And that's Māori to a T. It's Māori means to be normal, means to be natural.
Mm.
And so if we just live naturally and live by the universal consciousness of law, L-O-R-E, law, there we see a completely different way of living.
Especially when we're walking around with these things on our feet.
Rubber? Oh, because you lose the touch with soil, right? So
We're losing that connection every day. We're putting our shoes on and we're losing that connection with papatoanuku. There's no, what do you call it? There's no life force coming from papatoanuku until you take your shoes off. I don't do it enough. I need
Bro
to do
rocked up, bare feet. No worries.
Right. And even when I get on a plane, like I wear these things and I'll take them off on a plane and everyone's like, you bastard. There's this automatic sense of jealousy that comes from people that I just take my shoes off and I sit there. So, how's your day going? Hey, and all they're looking at is my feet.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Man, you were telling me before you catch, or you used to catch, a lot of flights. Was it more of the corporate world that you were involved, the job, or it's still something that is relevant for you and you move a lot?
Oh, just the nature of what I do is it calls for me to move, to be a time traveller. And so even when level 4 lockdown was kind of, in Tamaki, I was still flying out. I was still travelling out.
Wow.
And had the green ticket from the government. And it wasn't due to the fact that I was a essential worker, but because they saw, I think a lot of the companies that were that I was partnering with saw the value in how important it was for our type of mahi to help settle people's minds, settle people's spirits, settle people's emotions.
Are we talking about Ayo?
Yeah.
Yes.
We're talking about Te Whare Ayo.
Te Whare
Te
Ayo.
Whare Ayo, the house of timeless energy is Te Whare Ayo. Yeah.
I haven't read anything. I haven't.
Oh,
take us
So this
through,
is
man. Take us
awesome,
through,
bro.
take us through.
This is awesome.
Oh, what is Te Whare Ayo? Te Whare Ayo is the house of timeless energy. And it's when we move from the physical to the metaphysical. Right? So we create the sacred circle, which will activate certain portals and seal a tapu, to cloak tapu. Not in tapu as in tapu from fear, but a tapu was placed to create a restricted space of learning so that there were no distractions, nothing could penetrate it, and there were full concentration in your own consciousness to be able to share in the space. Because it was about sharing, it wasn't about I am teacher, you a student. Yep. It was about I am teacher, you a student, but you a teacher and I am student.
Always flipping.
We're always learning off one
Yep.
another.
Yep.
And so to create such a space, you would have to make it timeless. We weren't keeping track on, the time of 9 o'clock, start at 9 o'clock, finish at 5 o'clock. We would just start and then it was up, we're in. And we would go to the elements of where that flowed naturally, and in the olden times when they would go into old whare wānanga, I was taught that there were no kai was to be consumed, so they would fast through it. And I didn't kind of sort of really understand the concept. I said, but at the marae they're always eating. Food is a very prominent part of Māori culture. And yes, it is. But when we're talking about higher schools of learning or higher states of consciousness, you had to go to places without the weight of anything. And kai would do that to the digestive system. And so it's aligning yourself to understand that the kai now that you're consuming in the timelessness is the energy of one another.
Beautiful.
And now we're all consuming off the energy and flowing with it. And that's what consciously takes us up to a higher source and connects us into a divine space so that we can take from the house of knowledge what we deem fit for that appropriate time and then bring it back into our physical reality. And when the tapu lifts off, then we can go and kai because it breaks the tapu.
Yep.
So now we go back into the physical reality and apply. The key element of going into any higher school of learning is the application of what you've learned. Momo wa, waste of time going in and learning a whole lot of material. and coming out and just being a know-it-all. You were deemed and had mana when you would perfect your learnings in physical reality.
Yep.
And that's where you would hear the terminology, me he tangata whai mana, or that person acquires mana based on milestones that they might achieve. And so we're regenerating that space and getting some really awesome results.
When did you start tapping into it? How was the journey for you to dive into it?
At birth.
Yeah.
You knew right from the start, eh?
Yeah. My wānanga was coming through the channel. And my awakening didn't start until, I hit rock bottom. Because that's sometimes what it takes. Even when you hit rock bottom and you're like, crash, burn, blockage.
Yep.
Facing the file of fame and shame and all of those things that kind of come with egotistical world. And so it was making sure that I was consciously aware of how I could tap into my memory source. And it took me all the way back there. The passages through my creator, Mum.
What?
Nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mum's the, I always refer to Mum as my creator. She, the whare tangata is, it's the house of creation, really, for all of our wahine. It was the wahine that was chosen to bring life from the spiritual world to the physical. When you really connect the dots on what that means, you have this deeper understanding about the passages of life, or the rites of passage. That's a rite of passage. We've come through the portal.
Beautiful.
We come into the realm of light. And then
no mai te ao.
No mai te ao. Yeah. And I chose specifically the kupu ayo,
What is kupu? Kupu ayo?
Kupu means word. Ayo is the code. And ayo is, it can be broken down into many different syllables to create a thesis.
Right.
To create a thesis, because that's just how powerful our language is. So we're a house that we like to decode and break words up. Like breaking a syllable of a word down. We do that because we find the sustenance and the root and the source of the word. And then you have your everyday language where you can just, we call it kōrero ōpaki. Ōpaki is informal way of speaking the language, everyday usage. And then ōkawa means the more formal. And then we have ko te ōwairua o te reo. The wairua, the spirit of the language, has another dimensional force as well. So the kupu aio was given to me by a tohunga that I held in high regard. He was from Tūhoi territory. Himi Waiwai was his name. He passed away about a year ago now, I think. But his terminology of the kupu aio, when I was explaining to him about the house that I was training in, and then he gave the code to it. He was like, this is the universal code to consciousness. And I was like, I like this. Yes. He goes, I'll start off with the kupu a. A is the divine father. I, divine mother. And O, sacred circle of life. So you have both masculine, feminine, and when you put the a and the I together, it creates the word I. And I means to make love. It's the interconnectedness of all things through energy from a masculine and feminine form. And that gets created in the sacred circle.
Oh.
And now you have the passages of Ayo, all in one realm.
Wow.
It's liberating, isn't it, when you understand things? Makes sense, right? Like knowledge is so powerful, isn't it?
Totally. It is. It's deemed to be potential power, the realm of knowledge. The way that I like to teach knowledge is to, here's a simple structure, because we're a simple people. We don't have to complicate things. Sometimes we go out there and we're trying to use a terminology that nobody understands. But I like to make it nice and simple, so that when we breathe life into something like the kupu ayo, or the word ayo, I try and make it so that a 5-year-old and a 90-year-old understands it. If they're my target audience. Yeah. If they get it, everyone else in between can get it too.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome.
Keep it simple. Just don't be so complicated about things.
Keep it simple.
There was one phrase I heard a few moons ago. And that phrase was, simplicity is the key. So, yeah, you keep it simple for everyone to understand, they will understand it. Nice.
My tohunga gave me something similar. He said, execute excellence inside of simplicity and do it fucking well.
Yeah, beauty.
Hey, and that's why I keep things really, really simple, and I put lots of passion into simplicity because I know I'm going to execute it really, really well.
Yeah.
And I know if I'm not going to execute it really well, I don't go into it.
Yeah.
You know, kind of know your lane. And be open to always being a student of life.
Yeah.
That removes any barrier of, you know, I'm too good to learn, yeah. Or I don't want to learn because I'm afraid of being judged. That's another barrier for our people, is stepping into, you know, the unseen.
Yeah.
And feeling like you're going to get judged straight away because you don't know the reo, you don't know the tikanga, you don't know this, you don't know that. But man, the aroha that we have in our whare is that the number one rule inside of te whare ayu is that we have no judgment. It's number one rule. You cannot come into the whare and judge anybody for their walk, judge anybody for, you know, what they say, and that keeps the element of the circle safe. And then and then over time, when they start trusting their space, no one has the right to take that kōrero and go and say it to anybody else.
Nice.
And that's just the connection of trust that we have, so that you can be vulnerable. It's hard to be vulnerable, eh?
Oh man.
Yep.
It takes time. You gotta trust the people around you.
Yeah.
I always talk about solitude, the importance of being with yourself, comfortable. Very different than loneliness. Just understanding that space where you are with yourself. For me, it feels like a lot of things opened up after I was understanding what was going on within, and it was challenging. It's challenging to tap into what's happening there.
It's a process,
But it gives strength to find out more. Otherwise, it's just we're looking for things to cover the feelings, and we don't want to deal with them, eh? And then they explode.
Yeah.
Then it's a problem.
Especially when you have multiple layers of things that, like, you know, when you step into a space that you're uncomfortable with because you fear that judgment, and then you stack another one on top because I'm over in this space and I'm fearing that judgment of that group over there. After you've got multiple layers of all of this going on, you're going to have to take it out somewhere. And it normally comes out of your waha in a very negative, bad way. If you just allow yourself to step into that space and just try and be there and just let it all go. Let it all happen.
You do work with women and men. I don't know if the right word is the hardest or most challenging, but like for you, the person leading, let's say, where do you struggle, or where do you feel more comfortable, or each group is a group? How are the dynamics of dealing with men and women separately?
One of my po, we just ran Wahine Wānanga, 120 women in one space, and I got all of our men that were supporting on the outside because they were holding the space, so nobody got in, hold the tapu. And one of my men walks in and he goes, "Man, for a male, it's hard enough for one man to listen to one woman. I don't know how he's going to listen to 120. And I couldn't laugh at that point because I was like, man, I hope they don't take offense to this, but but they all started cracking up laughing, which I like. He broke the ice, which was cool, because then I knew, cool, we've got them. Joyce, they're engaged, they want to be here.
Yeah, nice.
And you know, it's not a wānanga or a retreat that we have to sell very hard. People find that they get pulled to the space because they feel the authenticity, the integrity, the understanding that people have come through the space and walked out with a beaming light, and their whānau have been like, what are you smoking? What are you on? And then they tell them, I've just come through this spiritual awakening in this wānanga, or whatever it is for them. And so then that's the advocacy to bring more people in. But to hold the space, they hold two different energies. For male, it's more about the physicality of the exhaustion of energy. And for females, it's more about the emotional intent. So during my research, I had to unpack a lot of things to help rebalance the feminine form, because we turn very masculine in our women's bodies. And that came from World War II, when all of our krani papa left. All our grandfathers left to World War II, and half of them didn't come back. And the half that did come back took to that and took to that. And so there was a part of them that died when they went away to war. And you'll hear in some of those really turmoil, really heartfelt interviews of those krani papa, they don't like talking about it, and if they do, they'll start crying. And they're old. So they've been holding on to that trauma for a long time, so a piece of them is... But when they went away, our grandmothers had to become the mothers and the fathers. So it took our women, our nannies, out of their feminine and put them in a very masculine form. And then that generationally just got handed down. So we're seeing kind of a lot of our wahine as a majority are starting to strip away and starting to pull the layers away to find the core of who they truly are. But first, without meeting their feminine form and balancing that with their masculine might and holding that neutrally towards them. But we do it in an emotional way so they can relate to it. For our men, you look close enough, you can see the devil in their eyes. You can see the depths of darkness. You don't have to look very far. And our men have to have a particular type of care around how we produce that tapu, that sacredness. In the depth of it, their energy form has been locked away. They're actually in their own prison. So they're used to being in prison. Prison is nothing. They get released from prison, they're still in the prison. And my job is to unlock the gates and shine some light down on these dark specks and let them roar through the element of haka. And that's why we use haka as a vehicle to open up and let the beast out. I was like, give him to me. I'll take him. I'll take him on. And to the unseen eye, you don't really sort of notice what's happening. But I'm pinpointing everyone's darkness and bring it all into one circle and then casting the old karakia on top of it, so that when the energy becomes transmuted, it goes from a caterpillar into a... And that's what's happening to their wairua.
Igniting it with light.
Igniting it with light.
Yeah.
I see a lot of not just Māori boys, but like white boys knowing how to do the haka and really enjoying that, connecting with the sport, because one like us or not, it's a beautiful thing in my view that such a big sport gives that space, the rugby, that it's out there to the world. But I wanted to ask you, being something that is introduced and is just part of one's life, so I won't say that it becomes ordinary, but it's just what it is. You know how to do it, and it's part of you. When it comes to your work and you use that as a tool, is it better that they already know a little bit, or you reckon it's better when they have no knowledge at all about haka and you can use that from zero, fresh, and give everything that you know to help them lift? Do you have to remove a lot of stuff first for some men?
Yeah, mainly their own blockages, but because humanity has become so logical, you have to find a way to bring people out of their analytical mind. Otherwise, they're going to kind of sort of have so many roadblocks that's going to stop them from wanting to come in. So we have to kind of just make it a nice transition. So we give the haka to everybody a week out. And I don't say you don't have to know it now, but just play it over and over and over. So I'm so subconsciously training their mind to open up the cracks. And then when it starts to seep in, by the time we learn in the sacredness, we produce 24 hours of work inside of our retreat, which the equivalent to the sacredness of it is about 200 years around the moon. So that's how long we're traveling. We're navigating the vast ocean to the high skies, to the depths of night before we come back into the realm of light. And we've got 200 years around the moon to be able to learn the depth of the haka, right? Because it's all about transitional phases and making sure that you have a not just a conscious awareness, but you have an in-depth an in-depth sacred knowing within yourself, that when these words download inside of your body, it is triggering of DNA like you wouldn't believe. And all these ancestors are waking up inside of you and they're starting to emanate with your intention, because it's all about making sure you got the right intention. You have poor intentions, like I was saying before, you do the right things but for the wrong reasons. If you don't have the right intention, but you're still trying to do the right thing, and it's the wrong reason, it's going to catch up with you. But if you've got the right intention and you're doing things for the right reasons, well, you're going to achieve whatever mountain you desire to climb. So when we do teach the method of the haka, I have to make sure that I am teaching it for the right reason, and I'm not making it about a show, because we do broadcast it and we do show it out there. But to me, my intention is to make sure that we're reaching out to the vast majority of brothers that are locked in their rooms, that have been silenced, that are out of control, that are in turmoil times, that are going through the death spiral, and they're hearing our call. And that's my intention of putting out this kaupapa out onto a social media platform. Now, I got a lot of shit for it when I first put it out there, but people started to see the intention. And now it's unstoppable now, bro.
What old school mentality? Why are you doing that? Why are you sharing? What's this is ours? This what was the shit that?
Yeah, a lot of ignorance from non-Māori, but I got some debate from Māori that were, shouldn't that be left for the sacredness, and why are they screaming like animals, and picking at it. And to me, I'm just like, oh, your poor mind, your poor mind, that you have to look at something so powerful. That a roar from a brother is releasing the depths of his darkness so that he can heal himself, and that he has the tools to be able to do that instead of going home and smacking up his missus.
Or punching a wall, or kicking on a door, or getting arrested.
Now he can go out to the back of his yard and just let out a mean haka. And it's normal. That fella must be practicing for matatini or something. But really, he's having a turmoil moment, Oh man, I mean, like it's wicked when you see our men just perform and recite haka, because to me, I teach them how to love pain, and when we understand the power of pain, we learn how to harness it a bit better.
Yep.
And when we can harness the
energy of it,
the energy of it, you can use it to your advantage.
Yep. Kia ora.
Yeah. So, but you have to be in control of yourself, though. Men, we have to be in control of ourselves. It takes a bit of time to get there, and I've appreciated that since I've been practicing.
So what do you give them? What would the warriors in the past, like, how would they understand pain and deal with it? That I'm interested in that. That's cool. Yeah,
you got to remember, it's completely two different lifestyles that we live this day and age. We're not governed by tikanga. So this suburb is not. It's not driven by the tikanga of the sub-tribe. So tikanga was there to create flow, to be guided, to allow harmony to stay in around. And when you were going to war, that would be for outside of the village, unless things were being invaded. So when you took the mentality of, say, the wolo, tūmatauenga, out into the wilderness, there were rituals that you would take in a space of neutrality, where you would morph through meditated states, and you would conjure up the beast inside of you to know that he ka whiroa, I am a warrior, that I may not return after this war, and to sacrifice that for my village. Man, mananui tera, the honor of dying in such battle. I will die for my whenua, I will die for my wahine, for my woman, for my children. Completely different mentality in terms of what it means now. And we're not really governed by tikanga these days, and even in a marae sense, there are some really strong examples, and then there are some that are still trying to build and reclaim the essence of their tikanga, and it's making sure that people are aware that we're still going through a reclamation of authenticity through tikanga practice to override colonial concepts that would otherwise say to us, you step out of line, you're going straight to jail. And that's the mentality at the moment. And they just pass a bill about saying we're going to put a bill in place for convoys. And if you get caught in a convoy, which is most of our tangi, and you get caught doing stupid stuff, everybody's going to jail. It's the same old mentality of, supremacy at its best, power and control. But for our people, we understood the flow of tikanga, and tikanga was abided by, because there were harsh consequences if you did breach. And depending on how deep that sort of circumstance was, you also had the art of patua te whakama. Whakama was another real kind of shameful act, and you would be shamed in front of everybody, which is, the vibration you feel inside you. So you're dying on the inside because of that. And it was like a consequence you just didn't want to face. But there were also mentalities to be able to rehabilitate in a therapeutic way and let the individual tune in with the deities and the gods, to let the gods realign the body of that person's unwellness, and then bring them back into the village. And then there'll be ceremonies to karaki over the top of them to bring their peaceful state back into the space. So many examples, and I think that what we're doing at the moment is that we're trying to show different ways on how those traditional elements still work for our people. So we use whānau therapy, or a therapy where it's going to invigorate one's soul, so we don't lose the soul of the person, and then hopefully empower them to fulfill their purpose and the reason why they've been brought here in te ao kiko in the world of the flesh.
So I'm curious to, because I work with rangatahi, and a lot of them spend their time on this and
cell
this, all of it. The screen has become their life. When you bring tāne and wahine into your space, bro, does that affect them in their life? Is that a cause of where our tāne and wahine are?
Yeah, it would be a partial reason why we self-sabotage. And we talked about liberation before, but the opposite to liberation is to self-sabotage, and we find comfort in the space, in the screen space. And even I've had my challenges, kind of where my mind goes, and a lot of people use it for mindless scrolling, and just to clock out, because they'd rather do that. With the old days, you had table, here's a beer, let's have a conversation. But now it's here's a table, here's our phones, and everyone's just talking whilst we're distracted from the frequency of what this is. So, but we're going to have to find a way to live with it too at the same time. I mean, there are pros and cons to technology, and if you can, work your craft and learn how to manage it and be creative in that space, it's definitely a powerful space for our rangatahi. But it's when we start seeing the real negative effects of it that is tuning up and eating. It's like sucking the soul out of one. Sometimes I catch my baby, he's just like, and I said, my baby, Piki Kironga, and he's like, hey, and I'm just like, wow, that just like sucked them in for a solid 15-20 minutes. Man, give me that phone.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Hey, just sucks the life out of them.
And for a lot of us, there's the excuse that it's for work. Oh, I have to check this. I have to, So for us as adults, it comes with this novelty of like, no, I'm an adult. But at the end of the day, they live by example, right? The kids, they're watching us.
Yep.
Yeah. Every move.
I often come home after work, Netflix, and that's just to lock myself out, and I call it it's my dumb down time. Just to, and then 3 o'clock in the morning I'll
Yeah, that's the trouble of it, eh?
Come to bed. You egg on the couch again, you know. But so I kind of, it makes me wonder, because I mean we've got these things called the book without a face, the gram that's Insta, the net that catches the flicks. It's all. For me, it's all just an entrapment of, well, rather than going out and walking the ngahere or going down and spending time, you know, near Tongaroa or in Awa with your whānau, we're sitting there doing this. And I'm guilty of it. I plug in and I just go, yep, zone out. 5 series later and it's like, oh, it's light outside again, you know? So, yeah. But you're right, we do have to live with both of them.
Yeah.
To make it work.
Yeah, because it does have that trapped effect. I think that, you know, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that multimedia has found a way to subconsciously hack the brain.
Yep.
So much so that it becomes a form of addiction for us to be able to, I'll just watch this one series. I'll go and watch the next series. Okay, I'll turn off this one. And you're 10 series deep. And your body's just been isolated. So it is the dumbed down effect. Really is the outcome of what they're trying to achieve in it.
And it's a total addiction.
A total. Yeah.
You're in there, you're zoning.
And so, you know, any form of addiction that humanity is moving in flow with, they're going to create the next thing. And like a wave. Taitimu. A wave's going to come and the tide's going to come in and it's just going to consume you. That's why you become the consumer of the next best thing that is going to lead you to the next addiction, to the next addiction. Things that we're teaching inside at the Whareaio is taking control of your mentality, your emotional intelligence, and how you exercise spirituality, which is really, really important to be able to get those 3 components together in order for your physical body, your temple, to be able to be in control of itself, because that's the only thing you have at the moment. You've got the power of control and the power of choice. You know, you can control what you can control. You can't control what others can do. Beautiful. So if you can exercise kind of a routine that works well for you, so you don't get sucked in by the tide, and when that tide moves, it moves in a form where a current comes out to get you, and that current can suck you left, right, and center. And for the vulnerable, it'll take you. But for us, that a little bit more conscious about ourselves, aware of ourselves, we'll know how to maneuver through them. We'll know, oh, okay, cool, I'm not going to be one of your marketing schemes. And so it's, you know, making sure that, you know, our people find healthier alternatives, and even walking in the ngahere, going down to Tangaroa, going down to Maru, into our awa, climbing your mountains. But we've got an app out at the moment that's called Ayo, and we use a practice called Orokoro. Orokoro is the Māori states of meditation. And when I first started the journey, I was doing it every day, you know. Spiritually, I was just practice. And I knew I was in the form where I'd breached the realm of manifestation. So I was like, cool, I want to manifest this, do that over and over and over and over and over, you know, and utilize the concept of repetition. Just repetition. And then I started training my body, and my body started releasing all of these other molecules. My vibrancy became very, very high. And then I had to learn the art of humility to pull myself back down and ground again. And so, you know, you do go up. What goes up must come down. But if you go up too much, you kind of get lost in that, and you're like a helium balloon with nobody attached to it. And so I had to learn the art of being able to bring myself down, and through the way of breathing. A lot of people practice breath work, but we use a system called uruha, which is the transitional states of the breath. And the consciousness of how you release the carbon dioxide.
So what does it mean? Like, is it just slower exhales? What's the thing?
It's the fuck up above it. So trees release oxygen, right? And we breathe in oxygen, and then we breathe out carbon dioxide, and trees consume carbon dioxide. Well, to us, that's tāne whakapiripiri. Tāne Mahuta, tāne nuiarangi, tāne te waiora. Tāne is the god of the forest. And tāne releases this chemical, this mauri, so that we can survive. Without us understanding the power of that genealogical pool, air is just air, and we take it for granted. But now that there's a whakapapa to it, there's genealogical ties to it, we connect into it a little bit deeper. So we can transverse into the spaces of where Tāne travelled to, as he astro travelled, as he came down and created the first being, as he breathed life into her by reciting Tihe, Mauri ora, from the mind to the mind, nose to the nose, breath to the breath, ka puta mai ko te hā, there's whakapapa in the hā, he gave the first maiden breath, and our whakapapa comes from that, our genealogy comes from that. So we have to have a deeper understanding to, you know, we don't use air just to survive and just to breathe, but there is a mechanism to it that has activating points within our DNA molecules, and it creates all these particles that act as magnets, and when you get the balance right, they start navigating themselves towards one another and multiply, which brings you into a more higher active power. So you're operating from this higher frequency because you're in control of everything. When you're not in control, these particles are really small and they hide in lurky places. And when you go into the corners of your house, you'll find like little spiders that are like, you know, null and void in those spaces. And there's all this darkness in there, and they keep pulling the energy from you. So much so that you have adrenal fatigue or low vibrancy energy, and it's just yuck to be around you. You're just like, wow, you got paru energy, yeah?
And everything around you is doing exactly that.
Yeah. And then you're attracting that low vibrancy. And that's why, dare I say it, the government need us to be sick. Because we are a money puller when we're sick. When we're ill and we're down and we're out, that's pocket for the pūtea.
So many ways to get us sick, by the way. Don't even get us started. I'm glad you're not watching the Chris's conversation. I'm glad you're watching Roy and Nani. Oh, we're live, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Oh, true. Shit. Okay, I had no idea.
When did that start, Taylor?
Thanks for telling us, bro. I thought we were just having a chat.
Bro, I work at the school, and I'm very comfortable with saying that one of the reasons why I work at the school is that I don't agree with a lot of things in the educational system. I'm very open about that, you know, with a lot of the professionals there, and I appreciate how much love, effort, and energy those teachers put into that craft, because it's not easy. But I feel like it's important to be in spaces that you can see the change, you know, otherwise you're just complaining, and that might not take you far. The work that you do for the government, can you take me through and just tell me a little bit of your personal mindset of that? Because I don't know if you're the biggest fan of how things operate, but like how is it to be part of it in a way?
Well, I totally don't work for the government. But like I will service, right? Yeah, I will create a partnership. So I have a mentality that I'm upholding the mana of te tiriti o Waitangi and te whakaputanga. And these two founding documents that our ancestors had an agreement over how to live peacefully and harmoniously in our country. But to know that we already had the volume of rangatiratanga and mana motuhake, which are two of the clauses that are stipulated inside of te tiriti o Waitangi, and then there was this really grey area around kawanatanga. But we knew that kawanatanga was going to play its place because of the intertribal warfare. There were a lot of intertribal warfare happening at the time, and where it was convenient for a lot of tribal negotiations with the crown was that the kawana would come in, the governors would come in, and they would create their settlements that would divide and separate some of the tribes from, you know, warring. I know that's the case for one of my tupuna down in Tauranga. And so it's making sure that we kind of understood the point and the purpose of what that governance is all about. It was not designed so that it ceded sovereignty over the entire nation. And that's where people are getting a little bit caught out, is that one document states that you will cede your sovereignty to the Crown and the government, and we will look after all affairs pertaining to Māori interests, but it would be run by the Crown. And so there was a lot of confusion in terms of how you would create an awareness around. I do not believe that our ancestors signed the treaty to hand over our sovereignty to give you power. And I don't know any country that would do that. if this is their, let me say, indigenous lands.
Yep,
Sorry, Winston.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, we've got to have a more collaborative understanding, and that's what many of the tribes are starting to do now. We're starting to really bring together the robust structure of how our ancestors understood the tiriti o Waitangi, and how does that play a significant part in the now. We're looking at Ministry of Education, and man, I feel sorry for our teachers too, because you're stuck in a box, and that box has been it's been written for you.
Yep.
And as much as you want to go out there and push the boundary and inspire our tamariki to do better, to be better, because that's your job, Your job is to inspire the next generation by showing them a way to express, showing them a way to learn, showing them how to create something out of nothing. And that's the chemistry of human nature. Now we're going against the grain of human nature. So it's really, really hard for us to be able to sit here and say, what side of the fence do we sit on? And it's a really confusing time for our people at the moment. For New Zealand as a whole, as a history of 180 years of colonisation, now we're starting to kind of shake the box a bit. And ka ru te whenua, ka riri a Mataoho. Mataoho is a volcanic ancestor of ours that is starting to, and it's happening in all of the pockets of Aotearoa. And look, we've got some amazing Pākehā out there. Like, I'm a Pākehā, and I've met some amazing Pākehā that are going out there that are going, yep, let's break this box. Because there's a way that we have to allow ourselves to sit at the table and co-governant the environment, so that we can learn how to manage the environment, not destroy it. At the moment, we're destroying it. You look at all our seabeds, our foreshores, our ngahere, and our maunga, everything, all of our heritage is getting destroyed right before our eyes.
And they're hurting.
And we've now got this hi-ho mentality where, it can get quite political up there.
And that, and the argument that should be no division, in my view, it becomes flawed, because I understand the concept, but even from a party that says co-governance shouldn't exist because we want one country, one people, those parties don't seem to be valuing the Māori values to unify that people. If you really want to unify people, you got to pay attention to the people who are part of the land that we're all sitting at the moment, right? That's why, for me, from outside, as a foreigner, it just doesn't make any sense. And I look at my Kia friend and I'm like, can't you see that it's bullshit? Like, it just doesn't sound right. It's saying that it needs to unify, but it's not giving voice to those guys. So what's up with the unification? It's just not right.
Well, I like what the Māori king stated at his coronation a couple of months ago, where he said, when he looks at a beehive, all of the bees are working cohesively and coherently to the end goal, to build their empire, and they have an understanding of their position and their roles. In the beehive down in Wellington, they're trying to take each other's heads off. There's no cohesiveness. They're all throwing stones at each other. They call each other colleagues, but you put them, it's like a lion's den in there. And that type of energy is just, it's unhealthy. It creates such an ugly competition. And like I was saying to you off screen, competition goes against humanity. As soon as you have an I win, you lose mentality, you have gone against the law of nature, and that is not creating a harmonic value, which means that we can be sitting in the same room, but as soon as we say, bro, who are you voting for, and then you say National, you say Labour, I say the Greens, now there's this competition mentality, and that's divided us straight away. And the same thing happened during the COVID period. Am I allowed to say that on screen? COVID period, where we saw it at its worst. We saw it at its worst, and we saw our fear became quite a prominent feature in terms of the way people saw each other. Even in families were fighting and scrapping. So there are tactics that are kind of being puppetized around to control a nation. Well, I think at the end of the day, if we are able to look past it and override it, the power is with the people. And if we unite without the decision makers, without the people that say yes or no sir, we've got a stronger voice when we stay together.
For both of you, so much of our history lies on fights, on conflict. Is that a choice? In this day and age of, we are evolved, let's say, we're all connected. Does it work?
Conflict for me should never be an option. And that's why me and the retreat in the wānanga, the school that I have created, is about understanding yourself first so that you can be in harmony with your own inner peace. Aiyo means to be peaceful. And inner peace is freedom. That's where the real freedom is. And if you can be one with yourself, you become part of the whole, part of the collective. If you use the word individual, you break that down into a syllable, you have in, divide, you, all. One man by themselves to make themselves strong is not strong at all. You're only strong as a person. But the real power is in the collective voice, is in the collective consciousness. Together we will be strong. And so ko tahitanga to our culture is, plays quite a powerful, significant statement. And so yes, we do come from a very warring race, but more so than that, we were the greatest navigators in the world. We were the greatest cultivators in the world. We were the greatest healers, the greatest astronomical experts. We were the greatest whisperers, the orators, the callers.
Yes.
We were many things more than just what the media shows us as to be. You're angry because you're a warrior and you come from a warrior race. It was like, oh man, you got your titties tied up in the wrong state. Yeah, that's my perspective though, bro. We are very holistic when it comes to being natural and normal in the realm of indigenous practices.
Yeah, hey, man.
Roy was like, yeah.
This whole kōrero is just, it's like I was saying earlier, I'm starting to meet tāne wahine in this space of holistic and te ao Māori and being out there. And tonight, just sitting here with you, bro, and of course brother Leo, and being able to have a kōrero around this space is just, it's amazing. Conflict. All conflict's healthy. If you're a fighter and if you're in a ring, the inner conflict that we all fight on a daily basis, I was having a kōrero with a few last couple of days about anger. If you can tap into that and turn it flip side around so that you use it as a positive, it can be a powerful place to be. But you got to be careful, like you were saying earlier, you just got to be careful on knowing how to control it. But everybody that suffers from inner turmoil or inner trauma, it's just having to find that ability to go, hang on a minute, if I unleash the beast, then that's going to be really, it's going to put me into a fight with my wahine, with my brother, my father, my mother, my sister, all of them. Actually, let's turn this around and try and use it in a positive way. Rather than get angry, I'll step into it, accept it, acknowledge it, and then, then I'll go and carve that waka. Or then I'll go and dig that garden, go and plant that raka. You know what I mean? If we're able to find a process to turn it around, make it a positive energy. That's, for me, well, otherwise you're going into a bar fight, conflict is just conflict. You know?
Speaking
Nothing
of,
like a good bar fight, eh, Jazzy?
Yeah.
Hey.
For a good reason.
But I like what you said though, bro. I mean, like, because my kids know when I'm upset or when I'm angry because I'm in the gardens. And I'd rather be with the God of peace, rongo, and processing my therapy through digging up my gardens, shaping my gardens, you know, looking for, where's the solution to the source of why I'm going through Mea. I could be in there for 8 hours, like just honing it. My kids, they look at me and they're like, oh, Dad's mad again, or something's wrong with Dad. Hey, but what a way that I'm showing these two boys who are watching me, showing them how to deal with anger management, they would put it. Hey, otherwise, you know, things that you saw when you were growing up was holes in the wall, old ladies, you got a couple of missing teeth.
Black eye.
You know, the ones were warriors type of lifestyle. No excuse these days. You know, it shouldn't be happening. And, you know, being a part of that cycle as well and having a dabble of being a perpetrator and a victim to it, it's, you know, something that I really acknowledge in my pastime or lived experiences. How do I learn how to channel that energy so that it doesn't happen again? I know the beast is in there. I know he's there. Look close into my eyes and you'll see him. And then having that understanding that, oh, no, I'm in control of that beast.
Taming of the beast.
I got the taming of the beast. That's the journey for the brotherhood at the moment. You know, it's being able to do that and give our wahine a rest. Give them a rest, because they've been fighting for a long time for us to come to stand up. E tū tānema. Our wahine have been fighting so long for us to stand up, be accounted for, own our stuff, own our truths, look into our own there.
Oh, hang on, babe.
Oh, bro.
Nearly there.
Yeah. And that's just repeated cycles.
we had Vaughan Winiata on the show, such a good show, and he was explaining to us how the Irish and the English, they were introduced to the drinking culture for years and years and years, ago, and then there's another part of colonization, right? You introduce something to a group that it would not deal with that substance.
As simple as sugar, bro.
Sugar, caffeine, right?
Well, that kind of scared me, bro, because the old man's Irish, Scottish, Scandinavian, and married mum who's Māori. And so my gene pool, when you got the Irish, the Scottish, and the Māori drinking, all of that turmoil, and I watched it come out of myself at times. That's why I don't touch alcohol, or if I do, I'll have a sip, or but very rarely do I touch it, because that's me taming the beast. Don't feed it. Don't feed it. If you know what's in there and you know that it's going to come out at certain times of that period, don't feed it. So have restrictions, and you have to overcome some pretty power, because society over here, let's go for a drink, bro. Let's go do this.
Social.
Hey, let's social, blah blah. The
for the old days.
The pressure of it, it's in your face. It's the easiest drug that can kind of sink you, just like that. What are the old people calling it? Kore mana. When you start drinking, you're going to lose your mana, boy. You got no dignity behind you do when you drink, bro.
Too right.
Yeah. So it's, we're facing some pretty traumatic spaces at the moment, which is cool. I love it.
Yeah.
Hey, hit it straight on.
Yeah. And I find too that a lot of mates that I used to hang out with, wasn't that long ago, but back in the day, I'm bumping into them, and some of them are still trapped in that space, in that world.
Sad, eh?
It is sad, and you sort of sit back and you go, man, I'm pretty sure you were clean. I'm pretty sure you were sober when I last seen you, and that was like 5-10 years ago. Of course, there's those that aren't even here anymore. And now working in this space with whanau, I sit back quite often actually and see their faces and think, if only we had this, or I had this tool, if only we had it back then, would it have been different? Well, no, it wouldn't have, because it was supposed to be how it is now. We're supposed to do this. It's all supposed to happen the way it is. But it's a learning to take it forward for those that are in there and to help them for now, because we've, that's been and gone. Let's help those that are here, and let's help those that are coming. Yeah. Oh, sorry to get all down to now.
No. I was just about to take it even a bit lower than, which is we talked about before we started the show about suicide rates in New Zealand, which for me as a foreigner coming here was quite surprising to see that a country compared to what I'm used to. Awesome. What an amazing lifestyle. Like you can actually walk in the streets without looking over your shoulder. Yo, score. Very high rates of suicides. And I guess Roimata deals with young people, Ngatari. And is it part of the work that you do? Do you come across people struggling with?
Massively, bro. We had, I think last year we had 37 men message saying if I didn't come through the retreat, I was going to kill myself. We had 2 that were meant to come to the retreat and didn't come and killed themselves.
Wow.
So I took that personally. That's a strike rate for me. Yep. It's a strike rate. I'm part of that stat and I'm part of that issue. So I take it really personally when our tāne kind of slipped down, because I've been there before myself too, it's and being really kind of sort of open to sharing that experience, not to the depths of where some of our men do take themselves, but in a way where you kind of have to sort of there's no sign, there's no signal, it can be hidden quite clearly, and you have to be you have to listen out for the call, because there are like bird calls that happen, they like little dog whistles that happen on social media, or just a text, or and sometimes we get so busy we're like, I'll get back to it later, next minute gone. Bro's gone. And so we have to recognize and understand the stats of Māori men, the highest suicide rate in the country, second highest in the world, ratio per capita. So we're part of a very ugly stat. And a haka that was composed by a kaiako of mine, Ngā Pōwehi, in 2009, talked about the tani whāpokai. The tani whāpokai is the greedy monster, the suicide monster that lurks in the state of vulnerability and pulls you down into the depths of the death spiral and creates diseasement before it pulls you into a depressed state, and there the consumption of the suicide monster will take you just like that. And it's kind of a lurking type of energy, one that preys, this dark shadow that preys and just entices all of those negative stigmas about, and likes to pinpoint at your negativity inside of you're a useless bastard. And so there was another haka that was written a couple of years later. It was about grabbing hold of the black dog, or the black dog, the kuri mangu, and to make sure that you're in control of, that black dog, because, everybody's got a black dog, and making sure that you can kind of sort of contribute to your own healing and your own responsibility to that line. But yeah, it's something that we're addressing. We don't like shining the light too much on it, because the more we starve it, we just know it's there. But if we starve it, we know that it doesn't have any room for growth in our space. And because our space is lit it's so much,
energized,
it's very hard for them to lurk, and they you can hear that. Hey, let me in. Where's the ones I want to consume with darkness? But because we flip the entire space, those dogs end up running off, and job done.
Darkness cannot survive in light.
That's right. But light can always survive in darkness.
Yeah. When just in your pukorero there, bro, about it feeding, and had a huge image of a praying mantis sitting in the dark, a very dark black praying mantis sitting in the dark, and as they walk through the space, he's going and just chewing off bits of light.
They're pretty fucking ruthless, They're ruthless.
I'm a fan. They're so smart.
And then they let go, and the next one come along. Beautiful kōrero. Yeah.
You might have to carve that one out, bro. Hey? Get a pre-mantis just chewing into the. Hey,
Yeah.
Bro, do you tap into other cultures? Do you study other indigenous cultures or other like history? You know, like, is that your thing?
Yeah, I like tapping into other spiritual practices. Like I had for some reason they give me their Bible, so I've got one from the Buddhist culture, the Japanese samurai code of honor, the Tibetan code, and recently was just given a paipera tapu, but written all in the Māori language, which is a biblical order, but written in the Māori language. Because I'm not Christian, I don't have a religious faith. I'm more into our atua. I'm more into our spiritual practice before colonization. To me, they're really tangible atua that we can connect to intangibly. And so for us, we have the best of both worlds when we're looking into the spiritual deities of who we are as a people. We're a divine source of that genealogical code. So tapping into, the wholeness, the oneness, the interconnectedness is more suitable for my belief system and my understanding because I come from it. There's a heritage that I belong to. I belong to the DNA molecule of it, where I don't belong to the DNA molecule of Jesus Christ. I don't whakapapa to Jesus Christ. I have no connection to it. And that's not to belittle it to anybody that follows religious faith. But for me, I just wasn't brought up with it. But my sister, my older sister, she's a heavy Christian. Always sends me prayers and always sends me this, and I just accept it because we're actually connecting into the same source.
Yeah. And it's a koha, bro.
It's a koha, and it's her way of giving me aroha, so I just accept it. I don't be like, Christian, rah 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 rah. Yep. It's just accepting that there are all different flows of your own spiritual practice, but we were talking about the same creator. And to me there was this really beautiful touch, and what's your whakapapa to the creator? And there's, I've only got one tupuna, io. Io was my only tupuna. And so to me that kind of made sense. It's like, you are Io. You are the divine God, and the divine God is you. The manifestation of whakaaro comes from what they say in spirituality, time, space and matter, or the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost. We say te pō, te ao, me te kore. And those are our three prominent places. So we're all talking about sort of the same concept of that triangular flow, and what formulates from that, what type of synergy formulates from that. Bro, am I answering your question? I have no idea what you said. I was like, wait, what am I talking about?
It's a conversation,
sorry, bro.
You're talking about synergies, bro. It's beautiful.
Shit. Sorry to all of our viewers. I just went bloody way off there.
That's
awesome.
That's what's the show is for, man. Like we chat, we throw one thing and then we see where it goes.
Bro, I love it.
And if you take flight, bro, we sit there and just go with the ride, man.
I came all the way from Auckland to take flight in Whitianga. I knew I should have caught a helicopter here.
Yes. So next time we're definitely flying you, and we're gonna do some cool stuff in Whitianga. And I got a message from Billy and Buddy. They run the local gym. They have an amazing toa, martial arts here. So Buddy's just saying, tell the bro if he's still here Thursday nights to come for a roll at toa martial arts. Maori ora.
Bro, I am Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu till I die. Yes, that is my art. I'm Sanu, my Brazilian brother. Yes, tell him I'll take him up on the offer. Bro, definitely. I'll bring my gi. I got no gi.
There you go.
Bro, I'll come down into your dojo and you can choke me the heck out.
There you go. Man, these guys are doing amazing mahi in this town. Like, it's pretty inspiring. So, kia ora, Ili and Buddy. What a couple. Amazing. Awesome, Thank you. Yeah, we got some Hinawai Waitua. Ayo. Hoo grub. Fire yarns. Yeah, that's us. Swizo, my brother. Sure, my bro.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah, man. Man's spitting some knowledge, he said. Love listening. Gosh, those retreats would be very powerful. I could imagine so much learning. Keep talking. Thank you so much. So, just before we go, a lot of love plant-based. Put some kai here for us. How good was that?
Oh, mihi atu ana ki te ringa wera. Ki roto i te reo Māori, we would always acknowledge the ones that created the source of that food that fed our puku. So I just want to send a big mihi out to our auntie. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here, but hopefully you're watching tonight.
She is.
Thank you very much for the kai, auntie.
Again.
Fred from
again.
Peninsula Motel, making sure that the bro sleeps tight, sleep well tonight.
Oh, bro, I turned up and he was right there. Bang! He was like, my door was open. He was like, in your room. And I was like, thank you, my cuz. Beautiful. So very grateful to be spending the night at our Peninsula Motel.
Thanks, bro. And man, what a pleasure. Thank you so much for accepting the invitation. As I told you before the show, we are on a mission to build something special. Well, Whitianga is a special place. You know, we don't have to do anything about that, but anything that we can do to add to it, then we feel like it's our responsibility. So having you here, having you accepting our invitation, it means a lot. Thank you very much. Mr. Roy, wow, man, my savior. I told Roy this morning, I called him, I'm like, bro, I got something for you, man. And he's like, Leo, I got 1 minute for you. And I said, I'll be there in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And I did.
And you were, bang, straight there.
And I did. Bro, what's your thing? Like, what do you do to turn off things? Like, what's your thing that takes you out of everything in the world that is just doesn't connect or is just different from the things that you teach? That's your thing. Like, what's your outlet? What's your thing?
Oh, bro, a couple of things. I love to sleep. The sleeping process for me is about crossing over to the next dimension, which is the unconscious state, because I've got to do some work there, right? I've got to transfer some memory over. And so that's a bit of a special space for me to recite in. I like cold water therapy. I got a spa at home. I got a couple of Harleys, do jiu-jitsu, pick up a maurako. I've got mentors. I've got kairomiromi. I've got medicine healers, Māori medicine healers. So it's, you know, as you start getting deeper and deeper into this mahi, you have to have more people on board, because there's only one of me, and I recognize that humbly that I'm here to do a job. I'm called to do this mahi, and so I am a servant to the people. I'm a servant, and I always place myself as a servant, and as long as I'm doing an authentic measure of practice and representing them, then I know I'm on the right track.
Man, awesome.
This is awesome.
I've been on the journey with cold showers, man. Not easy. Well, it doesn't get what is the saying? It doesn't get warmer, but the mindset, it gets a bit easier.
It's the first 30 seconds for me.
Yeah.
Hey, because you're like, boom, new body part, and as long as you hit your glands, I go to the glands straight away.
Do you do first, like in the morning? Is that the first thing, or you have a ritual and then you tap into
I used to do it in routine. Now I do it when I need it.
Yeah.
So I overheat. My body overheats. My glands swell. So I've got to use different therapeutic processes to help bring myself down.
Do you find that you've lessened using them?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
So the more you get, the more you evolve. You only have to go there when you need it.
Yeah.
But when you start, you have to get all the particles. Hey.
Yeah. What I found is that sometimes it removes that crave for coffee, because I spent a good amount of time in my life drinking coffee every day, and now we're so busy here. I love black coffee, so I have coffee, not every day, but sometimes just by knowing that I'm going for that cold shower, like it lifts me. It just wakes me up. So I guess it's just the mind, right? Whatever the story that you tell yourself and whatever helps to keep you awake, like it just energizes me.
Yeah.
I still like coffee. Do you drink coffee?
Yeah, I'm a coffee drinker.
Yeah, man. What do you drink?
Yeah, I'm black coffee as well. Sometimes a little bit of milk, half teaspoon of sugar. But the old lady's been making her remedy of Māori medicine. So if I'm, so I'm a bit sick at the moment, and she'll just be like, bang, hit this, bang. So I'll feel alive, but my body's just going through its process. And so I think that's the power of, kind of sort of knowing when to tap in, when to tap out. So push a bit away from the coffee so that my body can repair itself. So
Yep.
another form of knowing.
Yeah,
Yes.
learning and read.
Learning.
Read your
Hey.
wairua and your
Bro, it's showing us signs every day.
every day.
The worst thing is that we don't listen.
Because we're too busy doing that.
Yeah,
doing this.
yeah, that's right, bro.
Yeah.
Awesome. Just a couple of shout outs before we go. Evolution Fitness, Toa Martial Arts. So if you are in the Coromandel, make sure to check them out. Amazing 24-hour gym. And they have the martial arts. So Billy and Buddy, they're top. Another shout out to my bro, Frederick Pokai. I guess he's watching this. He's got his own podcast in Auckland, FTG. And a big shout out to Suizo Jäger watching us. And Last Go Bang came last Thursday. Great show. So if you haven't seen that one, make sure to check it out. Roy, do you wanna send some beautiful words? It's Mental Health Awareness Week.
It is Mental Health Awareness Week. Kia kaha to all of you going through traumatic times. But know that there are people out there. You just need to reach out. And thank you, boys, for inviting. Kia ora, mate.
No, we're
It
right.
has been an absolute pleasure listening to your kōrero.
Mihiana.
How do we find you, and what's the websites and the best ways to connect with what you're doing, brother?
I'm nowhere, but I'm everywhere.
It's the best way.
I like to hide, bro. I've just ended my social media page over too, so I'm like, yep, you deal with all of that, bro. But definitely look up Te Whare Aio Instagram, Te Whare Aio Facebook page. You'll see all of our national events coming up. They're our big chunky wānanga. So we are located in Auckland, Tauranga and Wellington this year. We go from matariki to matariki. So we go from the lunar phase. We tie ourselves into the lunar phase. Or if you see Te Whare Aio practicing near you, definitely tap into our sources. We've got a resource available online. Te Whare Aio app, it's AIO is the app, and it's got 35 different states of consciousness on there, for it range from 5 minutes to 35 minutes to 45 minutes. And so the first 5 are for free, and then you can subscribe, which I think is like $6 a month. It's like less than a coffee a month. Definitely you can download that on Apple or Android. So tap into that as well. Try and use that as a practice. But we teach the depth of that knowledge-based system inside of our retreat. So if you're feeling the pull, if you're feeling the call, definitely come in. Our website's about to drop soon as well. So we've got a lot of force coming out, and we just want that to be reciprocated with people that are ready to tackle themselves, to bring themselves to the stage. So no mai haramai ki te toa, and mihiana kia koruatahi. Thank you very much for bringing me into Whitianga. Kātahi ka mihi atu ana kia Ngati Hei. Ngati Hei is a tupuna of mine as well. He breached first up in Tauranga Moana, and we have a saying up there, ka mātaki taki nā ko te Arawa e whakakauhanatia te tapu wai o waitaha nui a hei. Hei a te iwi koro kētahi taha, hei a kūmara māua tahi taha, aitia ki te whare o hou. And so we acknowledge the tupuna hei, and that all of the piko and the beautiful estuaries that you have around Whitianga is under my tupuna as well. So we share commonality inside of that genealogical code. Atu i tērā. Thank you, Whitianga, for looking after me. I'll definitely be back. I'm not going to spend 1 day, 2 days here anymore, bro. We need to spend a whole week here.
Book the flights, man. You gotta roll with Buddy now, man. You're committed, man. You'll be waiting.
Hey, hard out. Yeah, and I can't wait to jump on again and break this down a little bit more and get into the nitty gritty. Mihi atu ana kia koruatira. Thank you, brother. My man. Hey, don't forget about the brother at the back. Hey, hard worker at the back.
That's right.
Mihi ana. Tēnā korua.
Kia ora.
That's us, and we're back on Thursday at 7 p.m. every Tuesday and Thursday, 7 p.m. Altbays Table Talk. Ka kite.